She never punched a clock, but she was never off duty. If you grew up in a black household in the 1970s, you already know who kept the whole operation running. She was up before the streetlights went off and still folding towels after the 11 o'clock news. The world called it staying home. She called it Tuesday. Number 19 was a full-body workout that happened before breakfast. Number 11 was the only half hour in the entire day that actually belonged to her. And number 8 might be the hardest to believe, because she did all of this and clocked in for a paying job too. These were not chores. These were the hours that held a family together. Hit subscribe, because here are 25 things black mothers actually did all day in the 1970s. Number 25. Pressing clothes before sunrise. The day started in the dark. Your mother was standing at the ironing board by 5:30, pressing school clothes flat while the house was still quiet. The iron was heavy, a solid piece of metal that plugged straight into the wall with a fraying cord she never replaced. She pressed collars, cuffs, pleats, and creases into pants that had to look right when you walked out the front door. Wrinkled clothes meant something in the neighborhood. They meant nobody was paying attention. They meant the house had no order. So she pressed everything, sometimes twice, before anyone else in the house opened their eyes. The day had not started yet, and she was already 2 hours into it. Number 24. Cooking breakfast from scratch every single morning. There was no cereal and go in a 1970s black kitchen. Your mother stood over that stove every morning and cooked a real meal. Grits had to be stirred. Eggs had to be scrambled in real butter. Biscuits came from flour, lard, and buttermilk, not a cardboard tube. If there was bacon, she fried it first and used the grease for everything else. Toast was bread held over an open burner if the toaster was broken, and the toaster was usually broken. She fed everybody at that table before they left the house, because sending a child to school hungry was not something she was willing to let happen. By the time you sat down, the kitchen was already hot and she was already sweating. Nobody said thank you. You just ate. Number 23. Doing everybody's hair before school. The comb was on the stove by 6. Your mother sectioned, parted, greased, and braided every head in the house before the school bus came. If you were tender-headed, that was your problem. She had 4 kids and 40 minutes. The grease was Blue Magic or Dax, pulled from a jar that never seemed to run out. Ponytails had to be even. Parts had to be straight. Barrettes had to match. If your hair was not done right, it reflected on her, not on you. She knew the teachers would look. She knew the other mothers would look. A child with messy hair in the 1970s did not get sympathy. The mother got the blame. So she stood there every morning and made sure nobody had anything to say. Number 22. Walking kids to school and then walking to work. In a lot of 1970s neighborhoods, there was no bus stop on the corner and no second car in the driveway. Your mother walked you to school. She held your hand across the busy streets, said good morning to the crossing guard by name, and watched you go through the front door. Then she turned around and walked to work. Not drove, walked. Maybe she caught a city bus if the job was far enough, but plenty of black mothers walked 15 or 20 blocks to get to a job that paid by the hour. She did this in heels on Sunday and in the rain on Wednesday. By the time she got to work, she had already been on her feet for 3 hours. Her shift had not even started. Number 21. Sweeping and mopping floors every single day. Your mother's floors were not dirty, ever. The broom came out every morning and the mop came out every evening. Pine Sol was the smell of a clean house, and every house on the block smelled like it. She mopped the kitchen on her hands and knees with a rag and a bucket when the mop could not get the corners. Baseboards got wiped. Thresholds got scrubbed. If you walked across a wet floor in your shoes, you learned very quickly not to do that again. The floor was not just a surface. It was proof. Proof that the house was kept, that somebody cared, that the family had standards. A sticky floor was a personal failure she would not allow. Number 20. Stretching leftovers into something new. Nothing got thrown away. Sunday's roast became Monday's hash. Monday's hash became Tuesday's soup. The neck bones from last week's greens showed up again in a pot of beans on Thursday, and nobody questioned it because the seasoning was different and the meal was hot. Your mother could open a refrigerator with almost nothing in it and put a full plate on the table in 30 minutes. She could take a piece of cornbread, a slice of onion, and a can of tomatoes and turn it into dinner. That was not poverty. That was a skill set built over generations of making do with whatever was on hand. Today, cooking shows call it zero waste. In the 1970s, black mothers just called it Wednesday. Number 19. Hanging laundry on the clothesline. Not every house had a dryer, and even the ones that did use the clothesline first. Your mother hauled a basket of wet clothes out the back door, slung a bag of clothespins over her shoulder, and spent the next 45 minutes hanging every sheet, every towel, every pair of pants on a line that ran from the back porch to a pole at the edge of the yard. She did this in July heat and in the sharp cold of early March. Sheets had to be folded in half over the line. Shirts had to hang from the shoulders, not the hem, or they stretched out. If it rained, she ran. Everything came off the line in 5 minutes flat, and if anything got soaked, the whole cycle started over. That warm cotton and wind smell was the signature of a woman who did not own a dryer and did not need one. Number 18. Tending the backyard garden. If there was a patch of dirt behind the house, your mother planted something in it. Tomatoes, collard greens, okra, green beans, peppers. She did not call it organic gardening. She called it not paying full price for vegetables. The garden went in around April and produced through September, and she was out there every evening pulling weeds, checking for bugs, and watering with a hose that leaked at the spigot. She canned what she could not eat fresh. Mason jars of tomatoes, pickled peppers, and green beans lined the pantry shelves by late summer like a savings account made of glass. The garden was not a hobby. It was part of the household economy, and she grew what she needed because depending entirely on the store was a risk she could not afford. Number 17. Grocery shopping on foot and carrying the bags home. Your mother did not do a weekly grocery run in a minivan. She walked to the store or she took the bus, and she carried everything home in paper bags balanced on her hip and hanging from both hands. She planned every trip because she could only carry so much. She knew exactly what was in the pantry, what would last until Friday, and what she absolutely had to buy today. Some mothers brought the older kids along as extra hands. None of them wasted a trip. Every bag she carried home was a calculation she had already done in her head before she left the front door. Number 16. Hand sewing and mending clothes for the whole family. She kept a sewing basket next to her chair in the living room, and every night after the dishes were done, she sat down and fixed something. A button that popped off your school shirt, a hem that came loose on your sister's skirt, a knee patch on your brother's pants because new pants were not in the budget this month. She could take a dress that was 2 sizes too big from a cousin down south and alter it to fit your daughter by Friday. The sewing machine, if she had one, was a singer that sat in the corner of the bedroom on a folding table. She did not take classes. She learned from her mother, who learned from hers. Number 15. Making home remedies instead of calling the doctor. The doctor was the last resort, not the first call. When someone in the house got sick, your mother went to the kitchen, not the phone. A chest cold got Vicks VapoRub rubbed thick across the chest and covered with a warm cloth. A sore throat got honey, lemon, and a little bit of whiskey heated on the stove, and you drank it whether you liked it or not. A stomachache got flat ginger ale and a piece of dry toast. A fever got rubbed down with alcohol and a cool rag on the forehead. An earache got a piece of cotton soaked in warm olive oil. She had a remedy for everything, and she did not learn any of it from a book. She learned it from her mother, who learned it from her grandmother, who learned it from a woman who had no choice because the nearest doctor would not treat black patients or the nearest hospital was miles of unpaved road away. A visit cost money that was not sitting around, and taking a day off work to sit in a waiting room meant a day without pay. So the home remedy came first. If it worked, the child went back to school the next day and nobody missed a paycheck. If it did not work, then she went to the doctor. The honey coated the throat. The ginger ale settled the stomach. They were practical solutions developed by women who watched what worked and passed it on. She kept her remedies in a cabinet above the stove or in a drawer that every child in the house knew not to touch. Castor oil, Epsom salt, camphor, witch hazel. That cabinet was the family pharmacy, and she was the only pharmacist. Number 14. Checking homework at the kitchen table every night. She might not have finished high school herself, but she sat down at that table every night and looked at what you brought home. She checked the math. She read the essay. She signed the permission slip and put it back in the folder so you would not lose it. If the grade slipped, there was no negotiation. You sat at that table until it was done, and if you did not understand it, she found someone who did. A neighbor, an older cousin, a church member who taught across town. Education was the one door she could see clearly, and she was not going to let you walk past it. She did not help with homework because she had free time. She did not have free time. She helped because the alternative was unacceptable. Number 13. Deep cleaning the entire house on Saturday. Saturday was not a day off. Saturday was deep clean day. Your mother stripped beds, scrubbed bathtubs, cleaned behind the toilet, wiped out kitchen cabinets, dusted every surface, and washed windows with vinegar and newspaper. The children had assigned duties, and nobody went outside until those duties were done. She ran that house like a shift supervisor, walking through rooms and checking work. A streak on the mirror got you sent back. A dusty baseboard got you sent back. She was not being cruel. She was teaching you that the house reflected the family, and the family was not going to look neglected. By noon, the whole place smelled like bleach and lemon, and you could finally go play. She kept cleaning. Number 12. Cooking Sunday dinner starting Saturday night. Sunday dinner was not a meal. It was an event, and it started on Saturday. Your mother soaked the beans Saturday night. She seasoned the meat Saturday night. She made the cake Saturday night. By Sunday morning, the oven was on before church, and somebody stayed behind to watch the pots. After service, the whole family sat down to fried chicken, macaroni and cheese, collard greens, cornbread, sweet potatoes, and a pound cake or a peach cobbler for dessert. She cooked for 8 people minimum because somebody's cousin was always coming by and the neighbor across the street was alone and everybody knew it. The leftovers went into Cool Whip containers and margarine tubs, labeled with nothing, because she knew exactly what was in each one. Number 11. Watching her stories for 30 minutes. Between 2 and 3 in the afternoon, if the work was caught up, your mother sat down. She turned on the television and watched her stories. The Young and the Restless, General Hospital, As the World Turns. That 30 minutes was the only part of the day that was entirely hers. She did not talk during her stories. She did not answer the phone. She did not get up to check on you. If you walked into the room asking for something, she pointed at the door without looking away from the screen. It was not laziness. It was a woman who had been on her feet since before sunrise, taking 30 minutes to sit in a chair and think about someone else's problems instead of her own. Then the credits rolled, and she got up and started dinner. Number 10. Running the neighborhood watch without calling it that. Your mother knew every child on the block by name. She knew which ones had a mother at home and which ones did not. She knew who was supposed to be inside by 5 and who was running loose too late. If she saw something wrong, she walked outside and handled it. She did not call the police for a child acting up. She grabbed that child by the arm, walked him home, and told his mother what happened. And the other mother said thank you, because that was the system. Every mother on the block watched every child on the block. Your mother could discipline someone else's kid, and nobody called it overstepping. They called it community. Number 9. Managing household money with envelopes in a jar. Your mother ran the household finances in cash. Payday meant she sat at the kitchen table with a stack of envelopes and divided the money into categories: rent, groceries, electric, gas, church tithe. If there was anything left over, it went into a jar on the top shelf of the closet. She did not carry credit cards. She did not write checks if she could help it. She paid the rent in person and got a receipt. She bought groceries with counted bills. If the envelope was empty before the end of the week, that category was done. You did not eat out. You did not buy extras. She made the math work because the math had to work. And she did it without telling the children that things were tight. Number 8. Working a full shift outside the home and doing everything inside it. This is where the math stops making sense. A large number of black mothers in the 1970s did not just manage the household. They also worked. They cleaned hotels. They ran cafeteria lines. They operated sewing machines in garment factories. They answered phones at offices where they were the only black face in the building. They took the bus at 6 in the morning, worked 8 hours, took the bus home at 4, and walked through the front door to a house that needed everything they had already given to somebody else's business. Dinner had to be cooked. Homework had to be checked. The kitchen had to be cleaned. The baby had to be bathed. And she did every bit of it on legs that had already carried her through a full workday, in shoes she could not afford to replace. Nobody called it a double shift. The phrase did not enter mainstream conversation until years later. But that is exactly what it was. She worked one shift for pay and another shift for free, and the free one was longer. She smiled at her supervisor all day because the job required it. She kept her voice steady when a customer was rude because losing the job was not an option. Then she came home and a child needed help with a school project and dinner was not started. She did not have a door to close. She did not have a room to disappear into for 10 minutes. She just kept moving because moving was the only direction available. Not because she chose career ambition over family. Because one income was not enough and nobody else was going to close the gap. She closed it herself, every single day. Number 7. Talking on the phone with her sisters and her circle. The phone was on the wall, and the cord was long enough to reach the kitchen table. After the children went to bed, your mother called her sister or her best friend from church, or the woman down the street who had known her since they were both 15. These calls were not gossip. They were infrastructure. She got information about which store had chicken legs on sale. She found out whose cousin was hiring at the plant. She heard about the teacher who was giving black children lower marks and decided what to do about it. The telephone was her network, her support system, and her intelligence service. She did not have the internet. She had a rotary phone, a long cord, and a circle of women who looked out for each other. Number 6. Getting everybody bathed and in bed by a set time. Bedtime was not a suggestion. Your mother ran the bath, checked the water temperature, and moved every child through that bathroom one at a time. Faces were washed, ears were checked, teeth were brushed with baking soda if the toothpaste ran out, pajamas were on, prayers were said, and you were in that bed by 9. She did not negotiate. She gave one warning, and after that, you were carried. The routine never varied. Monday through Sunday, bath, prayers, bed. That schedule was not flexible because nothing else in her life was flexible either, and the only way the whole system worked was if every part of it held. The house was quiet by 9:30, and she still had an hour of work ahead of her. Number 5. Teaching daughters everything by putting them to work. Your mother did not sit you down and give a lesson. She handed you a knife and told you to peel the potatoes. She put an iron in your hand at age 10 and told you to watch and then do it yourself. She made you stand next to her at the stove while she cooked, not as a spectator, but as a participant. By the time you were 12, you could press a shirt, season a pot of greens, mop a floor the right way, and sew a button back on a blouse. She was not being harsh, she was being practical. She knew that one day her daughter would have a kitchen of her own, and the learning curve needed to be flat. Every chore she assigned was a class. Every correction was a lesson she had received the same way from her own mother. Number 4. Laying out tomorrow's clothes the night before. Before she went to bed, she laid out clothes for every child in the house. Shirts matched pants, socks matched each other, shoes were by the door. She did this because the morning did not have room for decisions. If a child spent 10 minutes looking for a matching sock, the entire schedule collapsed. So she eliminated the variable the night before. The outfits were set, the book bags were packed, the lunch money was in an envelope on the counter. She ran the morning like a departure gate, and everything had to be ready before the alarm went off. It was not control, it was engineering. She had figured out, through years of trial and error, exactly how much time each morning task required, and she built the night around making the morning possible. Number 3. Going to church on Sunday, looking like nothing was hard. Sunday morning was the one time the world saw the whole family at once, and your mother made sure they saw perfection. The children were scrubbed, pressed, and polished. The shoes were shined. The hair was done the night before and wrapped in a scarf to hold it overnight. She wore her best dress, her best hat, and her best face, and she walked into that church like she had not been up since 4:30 doing everybody else's hair. Nobody in that pew knew she had been stretching groceries all week. Nobody knew the electric bill was late. She looked flawless, and that was the whole point. Sunday was not about admitting how hard the week had been. It was about showing that the week had not broken her. Number 2. Going to bed last and waking up first. The last thing she did every night was walk through the house one more time. She checked the locks. She checked the stove. She looked in on every child. She folded whatever was left in the basket. She set the alarm for 5, sometimes 4:30, because the ironing board was waiting and the morning was already spoken for. She went to bed last. She woke up first. And the distance between those two moments was never long enough. All 25 entries on this list were not a highlight reel. They were a regular day. Her day was not a line. It was a loop. Number 1. Being the safety net when there was no safety net. When the lights got cut off because the bill was 3 days late, she found candles and made dinner anyway. When the landlord would not fix the heat, she turned on the oven and left it cracked. When there was not enough food, she ate last and told everyone she was not hungry. She did not have a backup plan. She was the backup plan. Every hour of the day was something she carried, something she fed, something she cleaned, something she held together with nothing but her own 2 hands and a refusal to let it fall apart. If you grew up in that house, you did not know what she gave up until years after she stopped giving it. The clock that ran a 1970s black household did not hang on the wall. She was the clock. Which of these did your mother do every single day?